How exactly does one become a writer? Writing, as with any art form, is a skill that can be built up over time. It doesn't have to be something you're instantly good at, but if you're interested, you should take a stab at it. It can be therapeutic in some cases and can help center your mind, but I don't want to lecture you on how writing can help you. What I'm intent on doing today is showing how world building, creating and developing a main character, and figuring out some major plot points of where you want your story to go are all essential things in getting the hang of writing stories. First things first, building a believable world is extremely important to the foundation of your story. The best place to start your world building is by crafting the town your main character is in right now. What's something special about this town in particular? Who lives in this town and what sort of things do they do? Does your town have something important in its history to help you establish a backstory for the town itself? For example, in one of the fantasy stories I'm working on, the town the main character lives in was actually partially built by him. Him being there is integral to the town doing well, and he helps improve the lives of the people who live there. Secondly, who exactly is your main character? What do they look like, and what's their base personality? Try rounding them out by giving them specific likes and dislikes, as well as giving them some flaws to help them feel more three dimensional. Maybe your character has issues with letting things go and holds a grudge for a really long time. Maybe they have trouble trusting others and therefore find making connections with other people very difficult. Regardless of the flaws you've come up with for your character, make sure you give them some connections to the people in the town you've built. A good example of this is how in Stephen King's It, you start the story with some of the kids already knowing each other. This helps their relationships feel more real since they're pre established, and it makes you feel like you're just peeking into their world that already exists. The third and final thing I want to touch on here is how important it is to at least have a vague outline of the major plot points you want to have happen in your story. How does the story begin? And is there a specific inciting incident that drives your main character to take action? Who is your major antagonist and what's their deal? A good place to introduce your main villain is either near the beginning of your story or, my personal favorite, in the middle after you've sprinkled clues on what they're going after and why they're antagonizing your main character specifically. Make sure you also try to figure out where your story is going to end. A lot of the time, you can lose momentum if you don't at least have a vague idea of where you're going with it. As we're rounding things out here, let's go back over what we've talked about. All of the elements separately don't amount to much, but pulling them together can make something really beautiful happen. With world building making your setting believable, creating and developing your main character, making someone for your readers to relate to, and getting some major plot points figured out, giving you a map of where you want your story to go. All of those things together will help you become a writer.